Hello everyone. Today I'm going to show you how to predict for Bitcoin using astrology, specifically the Varshaphala and the Masaphala technique, which are the sun's yearly and then monthly return. So let's open up the software for Bitcoin. This is Kala Vedic astrology software, but we're using tropical Zodiac because that's what we do. So with this technique, you do need an accurate birth time. And with Bitcoin, we do have one that we like. There's different times out there, but this is the London January 3rd, 6:15, 2009 time. So we're able to do the Varshaphala and Masaphala technique. This is the main screen, actually, and then we're going to go to the Varshaphala screen. And this is the year. It gives you a chart for the year by year, going back to the first year, 0. So you go back and forth to see what kind of horoscope you get for the year if you believe in this technique. And this is a pretty well-known technique, the solar return, right? In India they call it the Varshaphala or the Vedic system. And other software will have this technique module. So we go right year by year. This is 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and so on. We're going to bring it to last year, 2024, because that's when I started looking at this. This is tied to the birth date, but it's not always on the same day. It could be a few days out, a few days before or after, because it's really based on the sun's degree, the same degree as in the natal chart. But then we want to look at the month, the Masa. And to get that, we go here on the right, the bottom right. I don't know if other software has the Masa or the monthly technique, but this one does. So we're going to go to the Masa or the month, and now we're going to look at the year divided into 12 months because there are 12 months in a year. So each month is going to get its own horoscope. And again, the month does not begin exactly on the day of the birthday, but it's pretty close. So Bitcoin has its birthday early in the month, so this is going to be changing early in the month. But it's not always that way. It depends on, the specific birth date of what you're looking at. Early in the month, it's going to be changing. So I want to begin with October because that's when I started looking at it. And this horoscope is okay. It's not great. It's not bad. We have, if you look at the dignity of the planets, you see that the sun is fallen or debilitated in Libra in the first house, and it's next to K2 with Mercury. Mercury's always close by. So this is not all that great, even though Sun in the first house is welcome. It's debilitated with K2. And also we have a debilitated Mars and debilitated Jupiter. So we got 3 debilitated planets, along with some other good stuff too. So there's good and bad stuff here. We got Venus and Moon in the second house, and that's pretty good. So I'm going to bring up the graph for the price of Bitcoin over the last 12 months. And we'll see that here's October. So from the beginning of October, it went up a little bit. From here to here, we're going to just look at the Masa month of Bitcoin from October 5th or 6th all the way to around the 4th. It went up slightly. It did go up a little bit, nothing too dramatic. But if we click on the next month, which is November, now this is a very good chart because we see now that Mars has moved into Leo. Mars is no longer debilitated. It's actually in a great friend sign, and it's in the 9th house too. What house was it in the previous one? It was in the 10th, a good house, but it was debilitated. But now it's in the 9th, an excellent house too, and great dignity. And also the sun has also left debilitation and is now in great friend sign. Even though it's in the 12th, it still has great friend sign. And the ascendant is very close to Venus. Venus is 2 degrees away from the ascendant, and then there's Moon and Mercury on each side. Like how close Moon is also to the ascendant. So this is very good. This is a great chart. For those who know astrology, a quick glance will tell you that it's a great chart. So this is for November, which began on November 5th, 2024. And we know that November 5th is the day of the election of 2024. So this chart really began right on the election day. And to be sure, this is for London, which is, I'm in West Coast time, United States. So London is 8 hours behind. So we see that this began at around 10, almost 11 a.m. on November 5th. This is the London time, but we're in Western time. I mean, we're in the West Coast, USA. So we actually count back 8 hours because London is ahead 8 hours from us. So this would put it for us at around just past midnight. Just past midnight. So you have to adjust the 8 hours or however hour difference from London to your location. So in November, for those of you who remember Bitcoin, how it did last year, starting November 5th, Bitcoin skyrocketed. All throughout November, Bitcoin went ballistic. From November 5th, right when we get our election in our new month chart, it just goes up and up until November 22nd. And then it drops a little bit, and then it goes back up until early December. It keeps climbing early December. So this is how you use this system. So you can go and look at, which month is the best, which one is the worst based on, this Masaphala system. November was fantastic, had a fantastic horoscope. So the price of Bitcoin went up a lot. Then we get to December. December doesn't look as hot. I'm not going to go into detail with all of them, but it just doesn't look as good as what came before. So in December, Bitcoin mostly went sideways. It went a little bit up, then it went down. So it just really went sideways. And I remember in January of this year, people were very excited about Bitcoin going up. It had reached 100,000 or so and are very close to it. People thought that it was going to go up because of the new administration. And for most, it really just went sideways. On the whole, it was very frustrating. So I remember looking at this, and right off the bat, it looked like it had potential. This horoscope had potential. But the more I looked into it, the more I saw that it was going to be a frustrating thing because the position of Mars was just affecting, um, it was really ruining things. It had all kinds of potential. And it was just like how people felt or experienced Bitcoin in January because there was optimism, there was potential, but it didn't fulfill, it faded. Bitcoin really went sideways and really just dropped. Mars was very frustrating. It was frustrating everything because look at 1 degree, but then you have the moon and Venus basically at the same degree, and you have the eighth aspect. You have the eighth aspect of Mars right onto these two planets here. You can even say the whole of the ninth house that has Saturn, Venus, Moon, and even Neptune is being aspected by the eighth aspect of Mars. So all this potential just gets frustrated. Let's keep going. This is February. So the month I want to tune in to next is April, the month of April. Because if you scroll forward and back, you'll see that April is actually one of the best horoscopes of the year. And I was able to scout this. You have a timing sequence down here, the dashas for the month. You have several of them. You have your pick of different ones. We're going to use the Vimshatori. So this all subdivide the month into smaller time frames, weeks, days. So when I looked at this and you match these time frames given to planets with the position of the planet in the horoscope. Let's say take Mars. Mars doesn't look too good here. So you look for when Mars is going to activate, and you can suppose that it's going to drop. The price is going to drop. If it's a well-positioned planet, you look for it over here, and you predict that it's going to go up. So when I looked at this months out, I saw that Jupiter was opposite the ascendant pretty closely, and it was looking at its own sign. And Jupiter was the month lord, and its sign Sagittarius was an important sign of the month. And you can see it here. So that clues me into Jupiter, and its period will be or should be excellent, a time to go long. This was a rather dramatic thing that happened because Jupiter has its time period according to this sequence on April 9th, beginning April 9th, 10, 11, 12, 13, but specifically beginning April 9th. So months out, I said, okay, well, on April 9th, you want to go long on Bitcoin. So what ended up happening is that all this time leading up to April 9th, you had the tariff stuff going on from February right to the end of March and early April. People were like freaked out about tariffs. This was like coming into this, the tariff thing was just in the news. People were losing their minds saying, oh my God, the sky is falling. Trump is ruining the market, the tariffs. And if you look at on April 8th was the low point. April 8th was the low point. April 8th was like the low point, or one of the low points. It is the low point. So, and people were losing their minds. People were saying we're going to go lower, we're going to go to 69,000, we're going to go to 70,000 and so on. But I remembered that I had scouted this day, April 9th, as being one of the very best days to go long on Bitcoin, and the days following, 9th through the 13th. Really to the 12th, because the 13th begins at 4 a.m., so for us it would be the 12th. And April 9th here begins just 3 hours past midnight. For us, it would encompass all of April 9th. So on April 8th, people were freaking out, saying, oh, tomorrow morning the markets could drop. It's going to go even further down. But I said, no. This is telling me that April 9th is a day to go long. And April 9th, Bitcoin bounced back. Dropped a little bit on the 10th, but on the 11th and the 12th, it went up again. So from the 8th, when people were freaking out, preparing for the worst, Bitcoin went up from 76,000 to 85,000 during this Jupiter time frame. So this was, for me, a validation of this technique. And the rest of April, Bitcoin continued to go up. You see this chart here encompassed from April to May 3rd. From April 3rd to May 3rd, Bitcoin bounced back almost to 100,000. It went from the low of 76,000 on April 8th. April 3rd did drop a little bit after the 3rd, but then it went up to 95,000. And it's gone mostly sideways since then. What happened before April 9th? Let's see, during the 4th kind of stayed the same. It really went down on the 6th, on the 5th, 6th, 7th. On the 5th, 6th, 7th, we're running Rahu. Rahu is up here. It's got a lot of stuff going on. It's got a lot of stuff. It's hard to interpret. Anyway, so that's how you do it.